how do you coalesce everything someone has done and then boil it down to a singular message and then build a path forward that is cohesive and tight to then go impact a group of people around it? Like, what is that journey like? And I think this goes back to even for me as a kid from, divorce and things of growing up and being so intentional. I always wanted to figure out how could I combine passion, like true passion of what I did, and make a good living doing it. And so I beat down that horse for the last, tried 20 years has been on my mind to do it. I finally feel at 29, I'm starting to like reach that level of where I am doing what I always set out to do.
Bryan Wish, welcome to the Better Wealth Podcast. And by the way, I want to preface this for everyone listening. This is going to be a very unique episode because I'm a big fan of Bryan. I'm hoping to bring awareness to your new launch as a company. And there's so many other things. We're going to talk about your journey, how you connect with people, the why behind your brand, and how you help other people create their powerful brands for people. So the bar is set, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Wow, it's quite the intro to live up to. Given that it's a Better Wealth Podcast, I'm wealthy by no stretch. I'm curious. I'm qualified to be here, so I appreciate you making quite the exception.
Well, I appreciate you visiting and staying with us when you were passing through, and just appreciate who you are. I wanna just take a step back and say we met through Rich Keller, who's been on the show, who's a dear friend of both of ours. And shout out to Rich, who I'm sure will be watching this because I'm going to send it to him and force him to listen to this. But we met, and I think it was like love at first sight. It was like you got to meet me and my wife, and we just shared kind of our stories, and it became very apparent to us about your love for human beings, your intentionality, and actually April, after meeting you, was just like told me like, man, I really like Bryan and how good of a listener he is and how present he is and just how much you care. And then you go on to connect me with some of the most interesting, like amazing human beings out there. And I'm not going to name drop due to this podcast, but like some of the people that have been on the podcast, some of the people that have written some of what I think are going to be all-time great books. And your ability to meet people and then the abundance of connecting them with others, you just create like this ripple effect that is truly amazing. And so when you told me that you guys were relaunching, I want to do everything I can to share this with our audience, and who knows, there might be some people watching this or listening to this that really use your services, but I think people would really benefit to following who you are and your journey. And so with that, Bryan, let's take a step back and say, like, who are you? What are you up to? What are you working on in the world? And then let's talk about some of the things that are most that you most cherish in your life.
Sure. Well, first, I should keep you around more. You're really good for my self-esteem, so thank you. Caleb, I think let's start where what I cherish a lot. Maybe we'll start with some gratefuls, and then we'll peel back into perhaps who I am and what we're doing and what we're launching. I'm thrilled to be here with you. I mean, look, I think that dinner that we had. P.S. I liked April a little more than I liked you, but yeah, both of you.
I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you.
Both of you were great. I mean, dude, our relationship's really special. There's very few people in their, how old are you? 26, 27? Yes. Who are in their mid 20s, late 20s, who like are so precise and intentional with the way they spend their time, their money, like you. And just the way they live, right? I mean, I remember our car conversation when I came to visit, and you asked me about values. Like, what 26-year-old is asking another dude about their values and how they live, right? And so I'm just I cherish like a relationship like this where I know I could come to you in a moment of despair and a moment of like at the top of the mountain, and you'd like be there to hold space for me any day. So first, I cherish that. And, I would cherish a good segue into where we're going. Cherish the last year I've been down. It's been the most painful, challenging year of my life, but I've kind of come through a tunnel and starting to see the light of day and realizing, that this company that I've been able to build has so much more meaning and depth to it as I've been able to really, I think, find myself and also settle my past in a way that's given me so much clarity over, let's just say, my way forward in the world. And I'm just excited for what's ahead. So, I mean, where shall we begin?
Let's begin with the business, because I mean, majority of businesses fail, and your business didn't fail, and yet you leaned into some things that you alluded to, some potential pain, some reflection. You really went outside your comfort zone, and from that, you rebirth a brand that I think is going to be even more incredible and just more powerful of a brand for sure as it relates to where you're going. So let's take you back, like, who, where are you from? What kind of business did you start? What do you do? And then why the rebrand? And let's talk about that journey.
Yeah, I'm from Washington, D.C. area. I went down to school at the University of Georgia, came back up for 4 years, and then I've landed after a year on the road in San Francisco. Uh, the business that, just a little context to me, I've always been so passionate about mobilizing people, right? Connecting, right? But around a shared message, right? So when you put the right people in the right room around something that is a unifying value or a voice, right? I think there's a lot of power in that. So everything I've done since I graduated college has reflected those kind of pieces or layers. Uh, I've just been able to find perhaps a niche within those two areas in which I've been able to build and sustain a business out of, right? That business, in simple terms, we take experts, people at the top of their space or close to the top of their space and who want to stand out and really drive their thought leadership online. They have a point of view. They usually come from a place of a personal challenge or pain. We build them a message, help them build a content wheel, a community, write their book, do their podcast, do all the pieces, right? That one they have the time and energy to do, but also like really want to do and know that it's going to really impact their business in a meaningful way. That business has been called BW Missions the last 3.5 years. As of today, or by the time this show goes live, it'll be called Arcbound, Arcbound. And the idea is that we're taking people's trajectories and their arcs, and we're building them for them in a place where they want to go, and we're the team that's going to take them there and help them reach that destination.
So when you talk about Arcbound, are you alluding to like your story arc, the bridge, the what you've overcome? Like, talk about the reason and why the name,
Right.
because I think we could go like multiple layers. Just as
Yeah.
I'm speaking, I'm like, man, there's multiple things that you could use with this
Well,
concept of Arcbound.
what's so cool is I've never really spoken to this before yet. So, I mean, look, the idea of an arc, right? If you think about an arc, it has a up and a down. Ideally, our arcs only go up and to the right with maybe some like down spells, but that's
Just like the stock market, right?
like this, right? Exactly. So, back to 1900, you've seen significant increase. So you know this world well, Caleb. But for us, right? People come to us at a specific inception point, and usually they see potential for a different way forward, or they need people to kind of look back on their life and to gain clarity over what they've done. I mean, a lot of people who come to us they've done a lot of different things successfully, or they've had a bunch of different professional or personal chapters. And it's like, how do you coalesce everything someone has done and then boil it down to a singular message and then build a path forward that is cohesive and tight to then go impact a group of people around it? Like, what is that journey like? And I think this goes back to even for me as a kid from, divorce and things of growing up and being so intentional. I always wanted to figure out how could I combine passion, like true passion of what I did, and make a good living doing it. And so I beat down that horse for the last, tried 20 years has been on my mind to do it. I finally feel at 29, I'm starting to like reach that level of where I am doing what I always set out to do. And so as I'm crafting a meaningful way forward for myself on my terms with a message, to help people find their way and path or arc, right? We've built the infrastructure underneath that enables people to do so.
I love it, man. And my next question is for those people that are like raising their hand saying like, I resonate with that. I want to be a thought leader. Obviously they can work with you, which would be amazing. What is your process from a standpoint of like, if like your proprietary process from a standpoint of taking someone that like wants to be a thought leader and actually making them a thought leader? Is there questions that you ask? Is it a like, what can they do right now if they want to go to the next level or create that arc or begin that mission? which I really like BW missions too. Like that's probably your first name and your last name
Yeah.
mission, which makes a lot of sense because this is your mission on Earth. But I think the new name is more evergreen and it has more legs. Um, does my question make sense from a standpoint of like some questions or some things that people can do to
Yeah.
help them with that on their path?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think this goes to some of the journey that I've been on over the last year. A lot of the last year for me has been really digging up my past in a very intentional and intense way. And that came through a trigger moment, came through a breakup, right? But it unearthed a crack, which unearthed a lot more cracks that I'd never gone into. And through that, right, I was able to see why I'd been doing all the things I'd been doing, right? So I'm going to bring this around, but I want to kind of make it personal to have it make sense. So I had to really kind of get clarity over all these pieces of my life, right? My pains, how I grew up, childhood, subconscious drivers, my behaviors, all these pieces, right? Just and it steered me on such this rigid road, right? So I was like trying to find my path all along, right? And I had this clear destination, but I was being held back by like all this baggage that was weighing me down. And through the last year, I've had to kind of rip it off layer by layer. And thanks to our friend Rich, right? He's been a guy who's peeled the living hell out of me. It's like the watershed broke and all the tears came out. But long story short, right? I think I had to get very clear and settle who I was, right? So that I could chart my way forward now on my terms. So when a client comes to us, ironically enough, as I've been doing a lot of reflecting, one of my bigger insights over the last year is the fact that we've been doing this all along for clients, right? When they come to us, there's an intense work in the beginning. We're digging up their past, their personal story, who they are, and bringing semblance to it, a clarity of message, helping them articulate a point of view, something that they care about, or mission and vision they want to bring into the world in a statement, right? Based on everything that they have gone through. So imagine 10, 20 years of work experience, life experience. You're going to boil it down to something then to go build a future around, right? It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do without a guide. Just as Rich was a guide for me on my personal journey, Arcbound is that company for others to guide them on their journey, but also do the work, execute, operationalize. So once we have a clear point of view, a message, right? That's when the fun kind of gets started, right? We can build the website. We can start deploying consistent thought leadership into the social ecosystems, build email. We know how to engage and mobilize a community. Yes, part of it is making introductions like, you and I do for each other. But the other part is like actively building and growing a community online in a very intentional fashion, learning how to find the right relationships will be clients, PR, all the different pieces, right? That like build momentum for a business. And then we're building the product arm, right? So once you have a message, how do you get someone with the message to some of the biggest stages in the world, right? That's where we're going next. So right now we're writing their books. We're building a publishing arm. We're going to put people on stages, right? So Kayla, we'll get you New York Stock Exchange one day. Just give me a few years. So, it's a process. And so we've tried to think through every piece of this thought leadership journey, but under the context of what does this brand mean? Because it's not just about publishing a book. It's not just about a speaking event. It's the whole intentional picture. And I think you understand that because you're so thoughtful in everything you do.
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of people that think they're just like, I just need to write a book. I just need to write a book about the same topic that everyone's writing a book on, they don't want to be authentic. The word authenticity comes to my mind of the people that really want to break through the noise. But there's experts that are like, they have their industry jargon that they have down. But what I see so valuable is if you can help them go back into their story and talk about like, okay, why are they passionate about this? Are they relatable? Are they an authority to this? Or can they create a movement of people that say, I want to follow this because of what you stand for, not just what you know? And then the knowledge ultimately stokes the fire to create that brand. And then on top of that, there's so many blind spots that we have, and you need to work with someone, whether you work with Bryan or you work with someone else in your network that can really help you not get into those blind spots and really push you to maybe get a little bit uncomfortable, because that is needed if you're going to be a thought leader and go to the next level.
Right. I mean, this work is vulnerable, right? This is we get to know our clients very intimately. This isn't a, hey, I go to the gas station, I put my credit card in and I leave type of transaction, right? This is long sales process. It's a long process of work. Most clients are with us at least 18 months, right? We're
Wow.
getting to know clients in a very intimate way, their families, their pains, their struggles. So you build emotional connection and then you bring their dreams to life. I mean, what more rewarding of a business could I be building? And again, it's taken the help of an incredible team. It has not been all me. I just want to make that super clear. But the vision has been similar from day one. And yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to share it.
Yeah, no, I just want to encourage people. One of the most I would say life-giving and raw and authentic moments that I've had in my life is when I was at a workshop and we started looking back at our past and talking about stories, talking about the most embarrassing moment, talking about the lessons that we've learned through some of our pain. And now I incorporate that in some of my talks, not as a quote unquote tactic, but as a way to really connect. Because a great speaker puts the speech before the people. A great communicator puts the people before the speech. And I think if there's one thing that I'm hoping that more thought leaders continue to rise up and do is put the people that they want to impact before their quote unquote message, and really don't just share their story just because they want to share it and check the box, but try to be as authentic as possible. And I really believe that people will match your level of authenticity, and that there might be someone that needs to hear that doesn't see themselves as a thought leader. But if you want to be a good communicator and connect with other people, just really do an audit on, are you putting yourself out there? Are you hedging? And if you are hedging, why?
Yeah. I love what you said about putting people before the speech, right? Because now you're saying it's not just about your point of view and what you want to say, but how it's going to go back to the people around you, right? And I think it takes the marriage of both. And I think you do that well. I mean, I see the content you put out. You're sharing some good stuff, and it's about the people that want, some financial know-how. I'm not giving it that merit to what you actually do and say, but I couldn't agree more.
Bryan, when I think of you, I think of a super connector, and a super connector obviously has great relationships, but ultimately loves connecting other people and like finds joy in that, but then ultimately creates massive value, and it's very leveraged value. What is the secret of connecting with people? Like, what is the secret behind you building so many amazing relationships? And was there something that clicked in your head that you're like, hey, I just want to be someone that connects others, or was it just something that you came out of the womb doing?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't think of myself as a connector. I think connecting people is a component of creating an arc for your life that you want. Because if you like really look at the deeper meaning of it, and we can get off the tangential in a second, but when you really look at life, right, and like where you want to go, right, what does it take? I mean, I'm asking you. Like, let's say you want to, like, give me your goals where you want to be in.
Yeah, we did this last time. They're big, but our goal with Better Wealth is to be to one stop shop for every financial decision. So all of my mindset goes to what can we do to someday be the one stop shop for every financial decision someone wants to make.
Right. And that through that process of having a very clear articulation of your vision, right, you need to have I think a great self-reflection practice to like really analyze where you are against your goals and where you want to go, right? A lot of discovery within that, like intentional reflection.
Mm-hmm.
You need people, right? Because without the combination of those two, how the hell are you, I mean, heck, are you going to get to where you truly want to go? So the reason I like connecting with people isn't just because I like connecting with people. It's because I believe that the world's a better place when people are aligned and living on a path that like is meaningful to them. And it's going to take the right people to do that, so that I understand, when I'm connecting individuals, I'm always trying to think of mutual value, right? It's not just about helping that one person, but how does it help both people?
Yes.
So how does 1 + 1 = 3 or 5 or 10,
Yes.
right down the road? And I think that adds up over time, and it's selfless, and it can be strategic, and it can be intentional, but at the same time, like it's always the other two people. And I think I'm always approaching it from the perspective of how will these two people's time together create something bigger and larger to help both people reach their dreams. Connecting is a component, but those people also need to have the self-awareness and the critical understanding of who they are and where they want to go to meet the right people so that they can live. So that's kind of a deeper way of looking at it. It's not just about connecting people, right?
Do you believe that this can be learned, or if there's someone listening to this, like what would you
Yeah.
encourage them to do on how to be a better connector? Because I do hear you, like you're connecting to people, they're increasing their value, but then you're also perceived as because my relationship with so and so is tied back to you, and so
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my relationship with this person, and it was only made possible because you made that intro.
Yeah. So let me tell you a story. And I think this is like it's actually a fun story for this podcast. There's someone who I introduced you to who I'm not going to say, just for the privacy of this conversation. He's trying to buy up a lot of companies right now. Okay. He's in M&A. He's making a big splash. And, he told me, kind of what he's looking for, the revenue perspective, all the different pieces. He's also on our board of advisors. He helps us out a lot with our financial parts of our business. Then, so I have an understanding, I have a body of knowledge of someone, what they're looking for, what's important to them. And it's just always important to understand because you can send them content, you can send them
Yep.
resources that may be helpful, and also do it in such a like thoughtful way that doesn't feel like transactional, right? So you build a base of knowledge on one person. So when you meet people in just the world, you have these kind of contextual clues about people. So for instance, I was in Portland on this trek. I walked out of my room one night. I saw this guy and his wife. This guy, who I won't say either, just we kind of hit it off. He's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you on this personal journey? Blah, blah, blah." He's like, "Let's get lunch." So after a couple of lunches, he's kind of like this older kind of sage, telling me all these stories. He's told me, "Hey, I'm trying to sell my business." And he goes, "I want to spend more time with my son. And here's kind of what my business does, blah, 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 blah." It's like, oh, that reminds me of who I presented the first time. I put them together. The deal is signed to buy the business
That's insane.
for a very large amount of money. And it wasn't, I have no
Is
agreement.
this guy gonna buy you lunch for the rest of your life, like anytime you're around?
Both of them can, and I'll accept it. But again, there was no agreement on either side. It was just like in my mind,
Yep.
X needs Y, Y needs
Yep.
X. Put them together. Maybe there's something there.
Yep.
And like voila, the best case scenario happened. And so when you ask if there's a process, it's understanding what people need and want to get to where they want to go and putting them together, or it's taking it maybe more kind of put it yourself in the mirror and say, where do I need to go? Because I think that sometimes people, the last thing they think about is themselves, right? In this equation. So like, where are you trying to go? Who are the people who can help you get there? Right. The only way you know where you're trying to go is by kind of saying, okay, what's happened? What's ahead? And it creates, I think what you do so well, the ability to be so intentional, right?
Yep.
And strike up relationships and see what opportunities you can create. So again, it's very strategic and intentional, but it's also very fluid and organic at the same time.
Yep. I love it, man. Anything else that is on your heart and your mind as it relates to the rebrand, just what you're up to and how you can encourage people that are watching and listening to this podcast?
Yeah. I look at what the work we're doing, and someone once said to me, he's like, what's the societal change of what you're creating? And I thought those are really like good question. And it's really hard to like measure, put metrics around, because we can't quantify behavior change and decision making through the work we're doing. I mean, we could maybe, but I don't think we can do it justice. I hope we're a company that's representing thousands and thousands of messages one day, right? That are positive on the world and have the distribution to get those out to influence behavior. I think if we do our job well, right, where we're ultimately we're creating positive behavior changes and positive actions globally that are, I think, making humanity a better place, right? If we're controlling the distribution of messages of people and what goes out to the world, I think it's a very powerful position to be in through the lens of individuals, and then helping all those thousands of people live a path more meaningful to them, right? It's a beautiful harmony that starts with self. You can impact a community and let those people impact the people in their network. And to me, it creates this incredible effect. So I hope you and I are overlooking a fire and a mountain in that beautiful house of yours, and maybe an upgraded house, because I know you're only going to go up from here. But, maybe we're overlooking the ski chalet in like the Swiss Alps, and like, where we look back and we've done something incredibly meaningful, both of us, with such
Yeah.
intentionality. That's money is just a byproduct of the
Yep.
hard work we put in.
I
So
think I think both of our businesses are highly leveraged because you're helping thought leaders and people that can make a difference, make a bigger difference. And what I hope that Better Wealth is doing is helping people be more intentional and take back control of their wealth so that they can do whatever they feel called to and live the intentional life. And so, overall, man, I love it. Love what you stand for. And again, majority of people that come on this podcast are talking about money and strategies, and I just feel very strongly about what you're up to in the world and want to do anything I can to help and serve. And so I would encourage people, regardless of if you think you're a thought leader or not, definitely check out Arcbound, and I'm sure you'll give us the contact info and where to go to support your mission. But then even if you're not at the place where you're at the place where you can work with Bryan, like really be thoughtful about what your arc is and how you can be more authentic, and maybe what are some of those stories in your past that there may be pain, there may be joy, there may be some other lessons, and how can you use those stories as a way to have an impact on your family, your friend group, you might be a thought leader and you don't even know it. And so with that, Bryan, where can people find out more, and what's kind of the call to action?
yeah, absolutely. And I think you just said one more thing. You hit on a bigger concept. It's not just for the people who can pay to work with us, right? It's a bigger concept of like living in an aligned way that's extremely congruent. And I think that's the larger message here, right? And all of what I'm saying. And I think there's ways to scale that to the masses. It's kind of how Tesla has done. Anyways, um, I appreciate you reflecting that, because it's not just about who's paying us. I think it's about the larger theme of creating an arc in your life, a path for your life that is so aligned that you can live and be done every day. And it doesn't mean it's easier, right? It's just, I think you're happier when you go to bed at night. Um, I think, don't, I mean, I might be wrong. I think it's arcbound.com. This site's not live yet. So arcbound.com, ARCBOUND. Please subscribe we're going to bring back the newsletter we had in a more elevated way.
Cool.
It's a podcast called The One Away Show. We do put out a lot of content that tries to create value, similar to you, Caleb. So thanks for the opportunity to be in your world.
I love it. You'll get me the for sure website. We'll put it down below.
It is the for sure website. I'm just
Okay.
going to play for
Okay, cool. Arcbound.com.
Yes.
And you have a newsletter that is as a must to subscribe to, and then obviously there's people can find out more about what you guys are doing in the world. And yeah, man, I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I look forward to having that sip of something overlooking some mountains in who knows what future. But I look forward to that, and it's fun to do the journey with you. And I just look forward to all the amazing conversations that we'll be having, and the people that what I'll be having with the people that you connect me with, and just the beautiful ripple effect that will have. I end the show with what I call the legacy question, and this will be very interesting for you to answer. But if this was your last day on earth and you're with the people that you love the most, you couldn't give them a podcast, a book, you couldn't give them anything but a conversation. What conversation would that be?
Oh, man, you're mixing it up here. Well, first, I'd set the table with an all-you-can-eat buffet of sushi.
Okay.
Maybe some steaks like we cooked at your house.
Okay.
I mean, look, I think the conversation, we can just stay on brand with it. I mean, I find myself often in conversations that go 6 layers below the surface, because I don't have the patience to talk about reality TV and topics that just, I feel like, a waste of time. Like, I think it would be a conversation around like what people are doing to live authentic to who they are, right? I think those have been the values of the constructs of all of our conversations, right? So I think that would be the most pure answer. And the most meaningful answer. And I also realize it's a privilege. It's a true privilege to be able to wake up every day and beat down that path. But I also know, if you work hard enough, you can find it.
Cool. Bryan, thank you. Congrats, and look forward to seeing the impact that you're going to have. Hey, I want to thank you for watching till the end. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, subscribe. It helps other people find our channel, and we really, really appreciate it. I also want to let you know that we have this thing called the Better Wealth Efficiency Quiz, and our goal is to give you a wealth efficiency score in less than 3 minutes, and really highlight and get you to start thinking about the potential inefficiencies that you have in your life. So if you haven't taken the quiz, go check out, it'll be the link below. Check that link out, take the quiz, and then let us know your score.